Welcome back to the Mad Dog Farm. We're doing another HDR revolver video. We've got the HDR 50. This is the 11 joule version. Now you'll see previously I removed the valve block in the back here, which is this little piece here. So you've all seen me do that. Once I put that video out, somebody shared it on the HDR 50 Love and Home Defence group on Facebook, and a chap on there who we'll get to in a minute commented and said, is that your video? I said, yeah, you know, I'll just put that on that. Anyway, he started messaging me on the old private messages and that. It turns out Florian, who is HomeDefence-24, got in touch and said, would you like to do a video with some of our parts? I was like, no problem at all, put you a video out. So this isn't sponsored, but the parts were supplied by HomeDefence-24 and they turned up today. So we're going to have a quick look through here and see what he sent us. It's all very exciting, isn't it? HomeDefence-24, just new products and the website address. And what we got here, the Power Kit 50 with the little rod on there. I'll get to that in a minute. The new barrel with the extension. Also, he sent out a little bag of, I'm not sure what sort of ammunition these are. They're steel in the end. I'll have to check his website to see if he sells them. And he also sent me out a slug maker, which I'm very interested. Now, I have said in previous videos that I wasn't going to make my own ammunition because although I have got plenty of time, I can't be bothered. But he sent me out this, so we're going to give it a go. Do you know what? That's just started snowing outside. Oh well, Tina will be back in with the dogs fairly soon then. So yeah, I should do a video on that. We'll get that all set up. There's some like little ball bearings in there, and Tina found the hot glue gun, so we'll give that a whirl, and we'll try those out at some point. But we'll put them to one side. So we've got the barrel. I'm sure that the barrel in the gun, the barrel that's in here at the moment, we'll get to it because I'll strip it all down in a bit, is aluminium, something like that. So this barrel's made of steel. It's threaded on the end, and it comes with a we'll get there in a minute. Yeah, chucking it all away. So this is the barrel that goes in the gun. The spring goes on there, and then the threaded piece sticks out the front of the gun. So it'll be sort of like that. To finish it off nice and neat, there's like a little threaded knurled bit. Don't know if you can see that. But you can screw that on the gun so that it looks nice and neat and finished off. Also, it's come with one of these, which is a barrel extender. So that just threads on there nicely. So that'll stick out the gun like so. That's going to be quite straightforward to fit that. We'll get to it. I'm going to strip it all down in a minute. So the other thing that he sent us is the Power Kit 50. Comes with this. I don't think I'm going to need that on this gun. Now this Power Kit will do the 11 joule version and the 7.5 joule version. Inside here we've got like the little needle valve. I'll just get it out of the packet. Quite fiddly, these little bits for my big fat fingers. So there's this piece here, which I think is for the 7.5 joule version. But the piece we're going to change in this one is that. Well, you can see that on that camera there. We're going to get to that in a minute. I won't be needing that, I don't think. So yeah, so this Power Kit 50 does do both the guns. With the 7.5 dual version, you'll use all the pieces. With the 11 dual version, basically you just take the valve block out, you change this little piece, put the barrel on, and then that's pretty much as powerful as that gun's going to get, I think. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot this first before I do any modifications. I've done a video of how powerful it was with all the different ammunitions, but I only used one gas cylinder. So for testing purposes, I'm going to use Umrex steel rubber balls. I'm going to put two cylinders worth of ammunition through on one gas charge and see what power output it's putting. Now the only reason I'm using the Umrex steel rubber balls is because they're quite consistent. When I was shooting the Devastators the other day, the power readings were up and down, up and down. When I noticed with the steel balls, they were quite consistent all the time. So that's what I'm going to do. We're going to go through, because it is chucking it down and rain outside, set the chronograph up, fire out the window. We'll put 12 shots through it and see what the power is. I expect before, when we get to the end of the 12 shots, it will start coming down on power a little bit. But yeah, so that's what we're going to do. And then we're going to tear into this and get these bits changed out. So, be back with you shortly. So that's that little bit of shooting done. It's quite consistent, up around 13 joules. I have seen comments where Florian has been saying that just removing the valve block doesn't give it that much more power, although it does feel more powerful. So I'll bring you in closer, we'll strip it down and we'll swap these parts out and see what difference that's going to make. Missed one. So I'll just lift clean off there now. So here we've got the barrel, the cylinder release jobby. So I'm gonna just lift that up and out, take the barrel out like so. That springs for the cylinder thing. This is just pressed into the frame. So that just pulls out, that goes on, and that just slides out. There's some little screws in the side. I'd missed the screw, there's still a screw in there. So now, it should, in theory, come apart. There we go. Right. Now the piece we need, I'm going to put my thumb over that, because on some videos that spring's gone flying out. I don't really want to mess about with any of this. Whoa. That comes out quite well. So that's that. I think it's this piece here needs to come off like so. Now in here is this little piece. Now I don't know. He said just put a screwdriver in the end. Oh, there's a bit of a washer on the end of that. That piece is metal, so we should be alright heating it up. We're going to try and do that now. I'll have to go and heat it on the stove a little bit. Right, I've just had that on the stove, so it's still quite hot. Let's see if I can undo it now. Ah. And there we go. So this is the new one, and that's the old one. The old one's a little bit longer. So I'm going to attempt to put the new one in there now. So that's the new one. I don't know if you can see in there. Get the seal. That goes on. That piece goes back on. So that sits in there like that. This piece I'm going to take out just for time, just while I'm putting these in. So I think I've got this right now. It just didn't look right as it was going back together. But I'll pop this back on. Just set the trigger right. Well, all I can do is put it back together and try it. So that's that back together. I think it's right. So I'm going to put that back in there, like so. Now we're going to take the new barrel, take the old spring off the old barrel, and that goes on there like so. Like that. So that's that piece. Just to get this back in now. So that's that spring back in for the cylinder release. That's all working fine. So now we can put the cover back on. I think that's it. Right, we'll take it through and try and shoot it now. See what difference it's made. The old gas is getting down now, averaging 18.14 joules. Velocity average is 115 meters a second. Minimum was 63, but that was because I fired it without a round in it. Maximum was 120 meters a second. So, all good stuff. So there concludes the little test. Now, as I said before, I was only shooting the Umarex steel rubber balls, only because that's consistent. When I was shooting the Devastators the other day, they were sort of up and down. It was up to 16 joules, then jumped down to 13, and they weren't quite so consistent. So I'm pretty sure that this will do more than what we've just got with the steel rubber balls. I'm not going to do that in this video. This video is fitting the parts, seeing what sort of improvement it makes, and then I'll do an ammo test when the weather's a little bit nicer and I can get outside. Shooting out the window's not the best. It's alright, our neighbours don't complain or anything, but so I'll do that video later on. But yeah, so thanks to Florian, I think that's how you pronounce the name, from HomeDefence-24. I'll put the link in the description. These power kits will do the 7.5 joule and the 11 joule version. With the 11 joule, you don't change this piece. So you won't need that tool either. He's very helpful. When he sends the parts out, he asks for an email address and he sends quite comprehensive instructions of how to do it. The only thing I will say is when you get the gun apart and you take the cover off of the inside piece, and when you take the cylinder out that holds the gas, the CO2, that's under a lot of tension. So make sure you know what goes where. Take a picture of it beforehand, because as you saw in the video, it all flew apart and I didn't know if I was getting it back together right, so I had to referenced a couple of videos. One was Rune Rebel and the other one was Big J's outdoor air guns, which I've linked before. So I'll put a link up in the corner here to HomeDefence-24. Really good quality kit. What I like about the barrel is you can take this off. I should have tested it without the barrel, without the extension on, really, to see what difference it made in thing. And you can, perhaps you can't, or perhaps I can't. You can screw this over the end of the thread. And that just finishes it off. It just, so you've not got thread showing. If for like home defence weapon, anything like that, and you want it sort of hidden, say like bedside cabinet, something like that, you perhaps won't want the long barrel on, because it is quite unwieldy with the barrel on, and it does add a little bit of weight to the front of it, but for shooting with extra power it's quite good. But if you're leaving this loaded up, hidden somewhere, ready to shoot, putting that over the end of the barrel, and it looks alright, doesn't it? So yeah, it is a vast improvement on power. With just the rubber balls, I was getting, the other day I was getting 12 to 13 joules. The first 6 of these, it was over 20. But yeah, so that's it. It's a really straightforward job. We've got some spare parts now. The old valve, the old barrel, and I don't even know what that's called, but to get that out, it was a bit tricky. What I did, the piece that this screws into, I held it, it's all metal, so heating it up isn't really, you don't want to heat it too hot. I held it with some little side cutters over the stove. We've got a gas stove, held it over the flame, and that was enough to break the, when it's threaded in, it's glued in. So that was just enough to break that, and then I could undo that quite easily. So if it's tight when you're trying to take it out, heat it up, and it'll come out. So that's a spare, that's a spare, that's a spare. So that's just an alloy barrel. The new one's steel. And as you've seen on the chronograph, it's made quite a big difference. The gas runs out a lot quicker. The gas was running out on the second cylinder. First one, it was sort of up 20, 22, round about there. The second one started coming down quite a bit as we was running out of gas. I mean, I don't know how much gas we got left in here. I won't pull the trigger indoors because it'll be quite loud. But yeah, it's still charged. There's no rounds in it, so it'll just make a noise if it did. There we go. It wasn't a lot of gas in it. I think where it had popped out, it hadn't come through where I screwed the case back together. So it wasn't tight, it was just binding up on the frame. So that's it for this video, pretty much. Couldn't have been any easier, really. It's just a little bit fiddly. If you've got big hands and you're clumsy, just have to be a little bit careful. But that's it, we're all back together with the barrel. That's probably it for modifications on this for me. He did say there was something else that I could do to it, which I think was in here somewhere. But it doesn't really make that much more power. This is plenty for me with the little I don't even know what it's called. The power kit fitted and the barrel. Valve block removed, superb. When the weather's cleared up, I say I will do a proper test, ammunition, targets, and we'll see what damage it can do. I'll test out the ammunition that he sent out for me, and then in another video I'm going to test out the slug maker. So keep your eyes out for those. Once again, thanks to Florian from HomeDefence-24. Big shout out to him. Can't say any more than that. So we'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.